Hello, I'm Catherine Sines, the president of the Rotary Club of Hudson. Rotary is a professional organization of a group of men and women who support Rotary International. We also join together by a common interest of service to our Hudson community, and we have a sincere desire to give back. We meet weekly on Wednesdays at Laurel Lake Retirement Community, 200 Laurel Lake Drive, in their dining room. We meet from 7:30 to 8:30 and would like to invite you to join us. For more information about Rotary, go to www.rotaryhudson.org. Enjoy the following excerpts from one of our recent meetings and consider joining us on Wednesday morning.
Gail Royster has some information about the upcoming Rotary picnic.
Thank you, President-elect. Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning, Gail.
That clipboard, I believe, is over yonder, making its way around for our annual picnic, which is Saturday, August 19th, so a little bit more than 2 weeks away. Cascade Park, everybody knows where Cascade Park is? Yeah, right back there somewhere. Off of East-West Case, Lynn Drive, where we've been the last couple of years. It's a wonderful, one of the wonderful parks in Hudson. So we will have games, we will have a lot of fun, and welcome to your spouses, your kids, your grandkids, everybody is welcome. And there's no cost. All you need to do is bring a dish, and you can sign up on the sheet for what you will bring, whether it's a side dish or a salad or a dessert, okay? So we're all set. You have flyers, and the clipboard is making its way. Thank you.
Gail, I'm definitely sad that the ice cream truck's not going to be there, but we'll have plenty of fun even without it. All right, moving right along. Bob Crampf has an announcement about Art on the Green. We've got a lot going on right now. This is great.
Good morning. Good morning, Bob. Just wanted to first thank everybody for signing up so quickly. We almost filled everything up the first day we passed the sheet around. We do have things change. People drop out. People have other things to do. But we have one spot available if anybody wants it, 3:30 to 5:30 on the Saturday. So that's the only spot available right now. That could change. I have a couple of backups that I appreciate having that available. The main thing I wanted to tell you, I have the sheet. I haven't sent it out to you as a reminder, but I'm going to do that tomorrow. So you'll get this as an email, and you can double check your times and dates and everything. And there is apparently a conflict. The website has the wrong date. I'm going to get that corrected. But our dates are right. The 26th and 27th, Saturday and Sunday. Thank you.
Thanks for quarterbacking that again this year, Bob. So the regularly scheduled board meeting following today's meeting is going to be next week. So that will be following the meeting on the 16th, and everyone is welcome to come check out what we're doing on the board. Also, just want to give a shout out to Jay Yard. He's done a great job with our Hudson Hub marketing, with the website, everything that we're doing there. This last month's Rotary District newsletter highlights our previous exchange student. So go ahead and check that out. There's a lot of good information about what the district is doing as well. So check that out. We've got a great lineup of speakers coming down the pipe here. Catherine outlined that in her email that she sent out this week. So feel free to invite some friends that might enjoy those presentations. Okay, Ed, you're gonna need to take it easy today on all these guests that we have. You don't have to punish them too hard, but it is time to get out those wallets, those purses, and today we're gonna be raising money for the Student Assistance Fund for Hudson City Schools. And basically, you know, not everyone is in our Hudson bubble. There are students in Hudson that don't have the means to provide the necessary equipment for school. So that's what we're going to be raising money for today, buying supplies for students in Hudson that need it. Without further ado, Ed Sogan.
Why, thank you. It certainly is a fine day. We have just a couple of announcements. School starts next week, so please remember, watch the speeds in those zones. I know our police department is particularly cognizant of the fact that the kids will be starting, their bicycles will be crossing the streets, walkers will be taking the crosswalk, so be careful out there, and it'll be a great time for students, parents, and especially moms who have had the kids home all summer long. According to Bill and Dan, at the paving for, and our mayor, the paving for Main Street will be done sometime here between now and the next 5 years. So don't forget those Main Street merchants, especially those people that are on 91, and you know, make a point of stopping by and giving them some business and helping them out, because they've again been suffering through this in regards to that project. It is looking great down there, and I know they're ready for the final coatings in regards to the street. Taste of Hudson is coming up on Labor Day. Again, this is going to be the kind of new Taste of Hudson. We have new leadership. It's a scaled down footprint in regards to the event itself. Jim Hackney helped start that, I don't know, was it 13 years ago? Something like 12, yeah. And we took a year off to kind of reorganize, and it is coming up. I will have some information in regards to signing up. We have a lot of you that have helped out in regards to the volunteer positions. One sad thing is the cards will not be part of the program this year, and a lot of us helped man those booths in regards to selling that. You'll be able to use a credit card or cash this year, so it'll make it a whole lot easier for everybody, including the food sales and that type of thing. So the theme is the same: great food, great music, and family fun for our area in Northeast Ohio. So make sure, again, on that Labor Day weekend, you make plans on attending. We also will need help in regards to setup and tear down. So those people, I was laughing because Evan 2 years ago came and dressed as he is now to help with setup. And he had to go to Joseph A. Banks to buy a new shirt before he went to work that day. Yes?
You know, a few years ago, you had the show where you had included a cruise-in for old cars.
Yes.
And it was very successful. Did you ever think about doing that again?
Basically, what happened is in working with the city and the merchants, they want to keep that street open. So this year, it's not going to be part of it, but possibly in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed it because I think a lot of people liked looking at the cars, et cetera. So. All right, Fine Day for those people. Again, we have a lot of new people here in regards to doing it. It's a way for us to raise money for different causes. As Evan mentioned, we're going to be contributing to the Student Assistance Fund for the Hudson schools. We have birthdays, we have happy news. On any of these things, when you're recognized, if you'd like to make a small donation, let's say it's your birthday, we won't have a birthday wish, because I think we had many people wish for world peace on their birthdays week after week with our Fine Day. But again, as we recognize you, if you'd like to throw a couple more bucks in the kitty, that would be great. We have a contest between members, and we'll be dividing up again one half of the room against the other. This has worked out very poorly over the last several months, and I have come up with really easy questions this time. So if a group gets the right answer, the other side pays. If you miss, your side pays. So it's a buck each time. Nobody has to pay over $5 unless you would like to donate more. We have people that have kicked in nice amounts in regards to the different projects that we've had. So there are fine collection agents, and they are tough customers. Chris is on this side, Donna's over there. So when you have your dollar up, they'll be flying around collecting those funds. We have a fishing theme this month. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. Went off to Marblehead fishing last month, right after Fine Day. And I went with 3 Hudsonites that many of you probably know. Pete Guthrie, who re-upped to go to Vietnam 3 times, was an All-American wrestler at Akron University. On the boat, I had to bait his hook with a night crawler, and I had to take the fish off the line. Real tough guy. Phil Makita, many of you know, is a member of the park board and longtime resident here. He took the honors with the most sheephead, the biggest sheephead, and the only sheephead. And then there was Dave Hartman. We called him Silent Thunder because he just stayed on his little side of the boat, and he just kept pulling them in one after another. We caught tons of fish. We caught so many that, you know, again, when they were cleaned, we didn't have a cooler big enough, so we ended up going to one of the factories right along there around Marblehead, and we had them canned, and James has them available at Heinen's. We have enough of them over there. So it was a great fishing day. They do. They do sardines and salmon. Who would have thunk it? Okay, first of all, in the hub, we've got recognition. We haven't really done a whole lot. Jay, where's Jay? Again, great job in the hub in regards to publicizing our speakers and that type of thing. But again, Jay, no picture, no badge, no pin. So a buck for him for, again, those articles. Today's hub, Goldfish Swim School opens in Hudson. David Basil's there for the ribbon cutting. Again, no pin. There was another picture that was taken, and Dave was in his Speedo getting ready to go into the pool. Luckily, Deb got a hold of the photographer and got that one out. But if you want to see it later, you can check with her. On the back of the same one, whose smiling face is there? Gail? Gail Royster in the Royster Group. She likes this. She gives me $5 and she only pays $1 in fine, but that's free advertising for her. Okay, Bad Boys Table. This one over here. Get your dollars out. Here's their quote for today.
I'm just visiting.
You're part of the group, pal. Okay, the quote from the Bad Boys Table: I want to die peacefully in my sleep like my grandfather, not screaming and yelling like the passengers in his boat. Everybody pay $1 over there. We don't have a bad girls table, but our ladies over here, you're all part of this because I heard one of you say this. This was a story they were relating. 3 fishermen went out on Lake Erie, and on one of the islands they spied a mermaid. And when they pulled their boat up, she said, well, I'll give each one of you a wish. So the first fisherman said, I want you to double my IQ. And immediately he started quoting Shakespeare and works of art from years gone by. The second fisherman said, I want you to triple my IQ. He started answering math problems that he didn't even know existed. The third said, I want you to quadruple my IQ. And the mermaid said, are you sure you want to do this? This is really going to change your life. He says, I'm positive. She turned him into a man. It's $1 for all you guys. It's $1 for the bad girls.
Oh, you're dead. You are so dead. Liz, you don't have to leave now.
Rotary is not responsible for the opinions.
Okay, we got Rich Warfield. Unfortunately, is not here, but he's an avid ice fisherman. And if you know Rich, whatever he goes into, farm animals, whatever it is, he's full tilt into it. But
You better explain that.
next month. But basically, what happened was he got together with a bunch of his high school buddies last winter. And they got together, and they have an annual ice fishing tournament every year. So they went out to lunch the day before they were going to have this tournament, and they were having a good time at lunch, and they had I think he calls them brewskis. up in Minnesota. So he's up in Minnesota, he's having a few, and he got all fired up, and they got out of lunch, and everybody took off, but he thought he was going to get a jump on the next day. So he figures, I'm going to get some practice in here, and he's, again, a little wobbly, but he heads off to the ice, and next thing you know, he's setting up his tent. He's got a propane broadcast heater. He's got his fishing rods and all the gear, and he's got a power auger. Now, most of you know it's kind of like a post hole digger. You just start it and boom, drill right through the ice. So he starts drilling through the ice, and all of a sudden there's a voice that said, "There are no fish in that hole." A voice from above. He goes, "Oh my goodness," so he picks his auger up and he moves 5 yards down. He starts drilling again. "There are no fish in that hole." And he moves about 25 yards now with all of his equipment and everything, and starts drilling again. "There are no fish in that hole." He said, "God, is that you?" "No, goofball, it's me, the rink manager." Okay, our contest today, once again, this side, Donna's going to collect over here. Get your dollars out because, again, you haven't done real well. This side has been far superior, but, again, I don't think you're going to do very well on this either. Okay, first question. It is a short answer. You have 5 seconds to answer. What kind of money do fishermen make? Bap. Net profits. Oh, geez. Buck for all these people here, Chris. Ooh, my goodness. All right, this is an easy one over here for the group on the left. What side of a fish has the most scales? Bap. The outside. Oh, come on, guys. Oh, unbelievable. Get those dollars out. Everybody's laughing. Get the bucks up. Donnie got a lot of patrons over here that owe money. Okay, we've got 2 more questions. This side. Where do fish wash? Bap. At the river basin. Everybody knew that. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Oh, jeez. All right. Poor Donna's, she's exhausted. Don't forget the front row over here. Max has got his dollars out. Okay, he's ready for the next question. I think, Max, you're going to get this one. What kind of fish carries a machine gun and makes you an offer you can't refuse? Bap. The codfather. I try to look for easy ones for you guys. It's terrible. Doug McDowell. Where's Doug? Okay. Doug got pulled over on Route 8 for speeding. Horrible thing. He's just, again, he's kind of keeping up with traffic, and he was probably going 80 miles an hour down Route 8 toward Akron. Police officer asked him, how fast you were going. And Doug, he's a nice guy, but he was a little frustrated. He goes, I was just keeping up with everybody else. I don't know how fast I was going. Everybody's going the same speed. I was just in there with them. It's getting a little sassy. Police officer asked, "You ever go fishing?" Doug said, "Yeah." Police officer said, "You ever catch all the fish?" You only need to catch one. He got caught. Gets a buck. Dan Filburn, another fishing expert here. Where's Dan? Okay, Dan went fishing with his family and stuff out in California, and it was a big fishing trip. They're looking for sea trophy fish out there, and nobody wanted to go on the one day, and he took off in the boat by himself, and he was out in the water, and the motor putzed out on him. The boat sank. Luckily he was able to swim to an island, and he was there for about a week before he was rescued. So the Coast Guard finally came, and they saw smoke from his little campfire, and he had put in shells, he had put SOS and everything else, so they were able to come and rescue him. And in the process, the captain of the Coast Guard vessel got out of the boat and took a look at his little campsite. He had made a little shelter, and he had his campfire going, and he looked around, and there were a bunch of California condor feathers around the campfire. And apparently he had caught one of them and roasted him, and so the The guy said, you know, that's an endangered species. I'm going to have to fire you or fine you. And he said, Jen, you know, I'm just trying to stay alive. I was going to starve to death. And he said, well, I'm sorry, but it is an endangered species, so you're going to get a fine. And he said, you know, the Coast Guard captain said, by the way, what did it taste like? Well, he said it was a mix between a snowy owl and a bald eagle. $1 fine for him over there. Okay, we have birthdays, and I think we're missing a few. I think these people might be out birthday celebrations, but Clinton Samuel's birthday is on the 12th. I don't see him. Mimi Becker. Okay, they might be out for a birthday dinner or birthday breakfast together. Jim Young on the 24th. And Catherine Sines on the 27th. She is not here, but Evan, you can make a contribution in her name. Oh, I forgot. I had my fishing line and everything over here. I forgot to bring that out. Okay. It doesn't have to sound good, but loud, okay?
right.
You know, Jim wants a good birthday song here.
All for Jim.
Happy birthday to you. Stand up, Jim. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jim. Happy birthday to you.
All right.
We have anniversaries, Rotary anniversaries. Joe Zabatowski.
Oh my God.
$1 for each year that he's been a Rotarian. 53 years. Let's have a round of applause for Joe. He's only 54 years old. Joe Avella, 10 years. Little donation would be appropriate there. Doug McDowell, the big Uno. Allison Feaster has 8 years. And Pete Opperman, Uno, 1 year. Congratulations. Nice round of applause for them. Wedding anniversaries. Mary and Ed Sogan, August 1st, 47 years of marital bliss. Mary said for her it's about 15, but for me it's 47. Renee and Matt LaFountain, 20 years.
All right.
And Mimi and Larry Becker, I guess that's why they're off on their second honeymoon. 60 years for Mimi.
Right.
Happy news.
Wait, there's another anniversary.
Oh, whoa.
38 years Friday.
38 years. Well, you got to get it on the website. Okay. Pay $1. It's not on the website.
Hold on. She said wait before Happy News.
Okay. All right. Okay. Ron Strobel.
53 years.
Well, you're kidding.
August 15th.
Wow, my goodness sakes.
How many?
Kicking $1 or $2 there, big guy. 53 years.
We got married the same day Joe went
to
the first Rotary meeting.
join. Yeah.
Tom and Gail Tobin, 22 years.
Okay. Our website is lacking here. Yes.
Deb and I, 40 years this past Sunday, August 6th.
Fantastic. Jim?
2 weeks ago, Karen and I was 52 years.
All right. On the website, it actually kicks these things up. I looked at mine, and I had put down August 1st, 2017, so I had no years of marriage, but it was actually 1970. So go back on your websites, edit it, because it should print up so we can get it and be accurate. Same thing with any other pertinent news. Okay. The last thing is a Fisherman's Serenity Prayer. And most of you know the Serenity Prayer for another organization. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the size of the fish I catch, the courage not to lie about it, and the wisdom to know that none of my fishing buddies would believe me anywhere. Amen. Thank you.
Do you have some happy news?
Great job, Coach, as always. Thank you. And we're going to move right into our presentation this morning. And Jim Ahern is going to come up and introduce David and Michael with Third Sun Solar.
Thank you. That was fun, Ed. Great job. Great job. This is the second of 5 weeks on the subject of energy during August. And speaking of energy, today is going to be about solar energy. And I was thinking about the next car that Phil Tobin's going to buy. And it will be solar powered, but driven by itself. So you'll be the first one, because it's the only way you'll get on the road. Okay, really a pleasure to introduce two gentlemen that are here, and I'll make this short as possible so they get as much time as possible. David Zalesko and Michael Smucker are both here with Third Sun Solar. David Zaleski is he's from Willoughby, Ohio. He resides in Lakewood. He's worked in the solar industry, and it sounded like he started installations, and then he graduated from Cleveland State, and is it the degree in sustainability? In business.
Business degree with focus.
And sustainability. That's awesome. Michael Smucker is also a native Ohioan. He's from Columbus. Thank him for coming up this morning. He works in the solar industry. He's director of growth at Third Sun Solar, which he says is the first solar company, and you'll probably tell us more about that in the Midwest. He obtained his bachelor's degree from University of Akron in 1989, and he's pretty much turned his focus on renewable energy, and he says that he has a new resolve in this career. So I'd like to welcome them both up, and let's give a big round of welcome for them.
All right, thank you everyone for having us. Thank you, Jim, as well. And I promise I don't have any fishing jokes for you, but definitely talk about solar. As Jim mentioned, we are Third Sun Solar. We are the oldest solar company in the state, been around since 2000, and have almost 850 installations throughout the Midwest. And like he said, I started off on the roof doing installations, but I've found that it's a little bit more safe giving PowerPoint presentations. So hopefully you guys enjoy. So I'm going to show you, just so you see what solar looks like. This is a residential home. See black panels. So we work with a lot of HOAs, a lot of cities and zoning codes that require a certain aesthetic. So you have the black panels, black frames, black cells that give it a sleeker look. But it also comes in different sizes as well. And what we do is look at the usage of the home. So we look at how many kilowatt hours a home uses in a year's time, and we size it up accordingly. Some people do not have or don't want solar panels on their roof, so we also have a ground mount application. And we also do businesses. So if you're ever traveling on 70 east or west around Springfield, you'll see one of our large installations. This is a 1.8 megawatt. So this company knew that they're looking to the future, that they have a lot of costs in electricity, and so one way to alleviate that is through solar. If there's any beer fans out there, Jackie O's Brewery out of Athens, Ohio is also another installation. Wayne National Forest down in southeast Ohio. And also a little bit closer by, Akron Metro. So we worked with Akron, the city of Akron, on several projects on their transit stations here. Also Kent State University on their field house as well. And then this is also a custom vertical installation in the city of Columbus. So what I wanted to show you is that solar is not one size fits all. It's very customized. So whether it's a homeowner, a business, or even a church, we work with them to see what they're looking to achieve. And we also have to look at the surface area, the space on the property as well. And then here's some more smaller applications as well. Hardware stores are also something that's very common in solar. And then we also provide carports. So this is at Assurance in Springfield. These solar carports are providing electricity, clean electricity, and then also some shade for the cars as well. So I know this, talking with Jim, and you know, we are in Northeast Ohio, so I've grown up here. I understand we have some cloudy days. Fortunately, we have a great day today to talk about solar. But we get to a lot of the question, does solar work in Ohio? And the answer is yes. This graph here showing, you know, the red to blue, the red spectrum has the most solar resource in the country. So you can see us up there in Ohio with the green, and we compare that to the country of Germany. So Germany has the most solar out of any country in the world right now. And some days they get about a third of their electricity from solar energy. And they actually have 20% less sunlight a year than we do here in Northeast Ohio. So essentially, solar can work anywhere. If it works in Germany, it can work anywhere. You can see Seattle, Alaska gets similar solar resource that Germany does, but here in Northeast Ohio, it's a great option. So basically, I wanted to also show you the history of solar. Discovering photovoltaics, so basically converting light into energy. There's a lot to be attributed back into the 19th century. Albert Einstein, actually his theory of the photovoltaic effect was rewarded in the earlier 20th century. And then all the way up to 1954. So this solar photovoltaic cells, the cell is what's in the solar panels, is an American invention from 1954. So it was born in Bell's laboratory, and it is the same technology that is being used today. Just over time, the efficiency has improved. So here's a nice graph on how solar works. The sun's hitting the panels, and the sun's taking DC current. So basically, the photons from the sun are mixing in the cells a semiconductor. That's typically silicon. Silicon is the second most abundant resource in the world. And so what it does, the photons mix with the semiconductor, releasing electrons and pushing through your system into the home or any of the building to produce electricity. So when we look at solar and how much it produces, it also depends on which direction you're facing. So we being in the northern hemisphere, we want to have all our panels, as much as we can, face south. That's when you're going to get the most production. We can do east and west as well. And so we, like the south, our foreign exchange student friend, being in south of the southern hemisphere, panels out there would actually face north, and just following the trajectory of the sun and making sure that you get the most sun exposure for all the panels. And so you can see we take into consideration the direction. We also take consideration the pitch. So what pitch you are facing. When you're facing south, a steeper pitch works, but then east and west, a lower pitch, so that you can get, even in the late afternoon, an east-facing array can get some good production because it has a low pitch. So this is something that we take into consideration when we provide production estimates for customers and such. So this is basically how solar essentially works in terms of connecting to a home's energy usage, and then also how it affects most people's electric bills. So you have the sun's DC hitting the panels here. A big component and where the magic all happens is within the inverter. So the inverter takes that sun's DC energy and converts it to to AC for the home's use and the grid's use. And basically, from the inverter goes right into your main service panel. And so the inverter produces a very clean sine wave, and the breaker box will choose the solar over grid power. So on a day like today, solar is hitting someone's home. Any loads that are being used in that house are going to choose solar over grid power. So you're actually producing electricity at the point of consumption, and then you're also saving kilowatt hours coming in, which is reducing the amount that you're spending from the utility company. The process of that now is if there's more solar than the home needs, it goes back to the grid. The systems that we're talking about are grid tied. They don't need any battery support. And so depending on what utility company you have, they will take that power and then any excess in a month credit you on your bill. So this is basically how you're able to reduce the cost of your electricity. So it's why it's very attractive to businesses, cities, homeowners especially. And you can see we have some examples in the bills here. So fortunately, most suburban and urban homes and some rural homes, their biggest electricity costs are air conditioning. So that's also the same time where you're going to get the most solar production. So most of our residential customers can offset 50 to 90% of their usage in a year's time. And from May to September, their electric bill is very minimal. And we essentially, we compare the solar to how you're getting your electricity right now. So we kind of use the play on the life of a payer. Essentially, it's basically owning versus renting. Currently, a lot of people are tied to the grid, which provides us great electricity, reliable electricity. It's something that we should champion, that was around for why, modern civilization. It played a huge role. But now with solar, you have energy independence, you have production at the point of consumption, and it's just a very long-term investment that people are making. So these solar panels are warranted for 25 years by the manufacturers. So it's when we put this on someone's house, this is something that is going to be lasting for decades. And it's essentially a power plant at the point of consumption. So I'll go over some misconceptions, we like to say, regarding solar. We already went over the amount of sunlight here. We also, a lot of things you hear is, solar is very expensive. And so while that it may be an initial investment, it's something that has dropped in price for quite some time. I believe it's in the last 5 years, it's about 80%. And so that's something that, we take a look into. And then when you look at owning versus renting your electricity, the price over time of continuing to stay with grid power is actually more expensive. And this is also why you may have heard of solar much more recently. It's just because of that price decline. The technology's been around since the 50s, but right now we hear about it a lot more. We probably know someone that has solar or know of a local business that has solar as well, and it's really attributed to this decline in pricing. And so I'm going to pass it over to Michael here, and he'll talk a little bit about us as Third Son.
Thank you, David. I'm really happy to be here and have this chance to talk with you guys. It's part of David and I's endeavor is to get out amongst business, community leaders, business leaders, and have an opportunity to educate about solar. So specifically, I'm going to go a little bit into Third Son. I was inspired by your four-way test and relating it back to Third Son Solar. I've had several stops along my career in companies, including startups and so forth. I've never been involved with a more mission-driven company than Third Sun Solar. As a company, and all the individuals that are involved in the company are very much aligned with our mission, which is to accelerate the shift to clean energy. And we are really tightly organized around our core values, which you'll see here, again, relate to your four-way test, that we act with integrity. We actually work every day to make solar easy and enjoyable. It's actually fun to go solar. Our expertise helps us deliver optimized solutions. David kind of mentioned that solar is not a boilerplate solution. It is very much a custom solution. So you're looking at the energy consumption at a particular house or business. You're looking at the solar resource, how much shading is there, and how much space is available. And you're putting all those things together, so each individual's answer is going to be different. We're a very passionate group of people, and we're in this business for the long haul. As David had said, we are the first solar company not only in Ohio but in the Midwest. So 17 years is actually like a dinosaur in this business. We do business with a lot of people over the years. Here's government entities, military, some nonprofits. A lot of these you guys will recognize. Corporations. This is, solar is growing in every category that we could name here today. So on the commercial side, in agricultural, and in residential, it's growing at absolute record numbers. So these are the for-profit businesses that we do business with. Universities, extremely fast-growing. We are, as David mentioned, we did the installation at Kent, right down the road. We're also right now, as we speak, building a rather large installation at Denison University. Some of the strategic advantages that we have as our company, many years ago, our ownership had the foresight to form a solar co-op, and this solar co-op is called Amicus. Amicus is the banding together of the top solar companies, other firms like Third Sun, coast to coast. So I think there's 42 of us, and all that number says 40, but it's grown since this slide. So there's 42 of us. It's very similar to the model of like a True Value or an Ace Hardware, how they've been able to be competitive in the face of all the home improvement big box stores, coming into the market many years ago. This is very much the model that we follow with our solar business. So having formed Amicus, it gives us a procurement advantage so that we are able to compete on a national basis with anyone in solar. Collectively, Amicus is the #3 solar company in the country. So Solar City, you probably heard of. That's Elon Musk's company. Then there's a company called Vivient, and then there's Amicus. The other thing that's really interesting, and this group might find this valuable, is that it was originally formed for this procurement advantage, which we have. But then the other thing that grew out of it was this amazing thing that I'd never experienced before in business, and that is the sharing of best practices. So in a rapidly growing industry like solar, we're not in a position where we're this little company in Ohio having to reinvent the wheel every time we come against a challenge in solar. We've got 41 other fraternity brothers and sisters that are in the same business coast to coast. And so solar varies by markets. The California market, for example, is much more mature. We've got several Amicus partners there. We can learn from them, from the technical side, the marketing, the sales, all the various challenges that you meet in business. If you imagine that you've got, essentially what, in previous businesses have been your competitors, you're turning to your competitors and they're sharing with you open books. They're sharing all their financials, all their business strategies, in an absolute open way. Again, it's a total revelation for me in business. Over the years, we've, talking about the core values, we value our reputation very much. So you'll see that we are an A+, Better Business Bureau, accredited. We've got the highest rating in Dun & Bradstreet. We are #1 in solar reviews in Ohio. We are number 64 in the nation. That's out of thousands and thousands of solar companies. There must be 5,000 plus solar companies in the country, and we're 64. And then this other interesting thing, does anyone in the room know about B corporations? So we're really proud to have this designation. I saw one yes over there. We're really proud to have this designation. A B corporation are businesses. It's a business classification that really is a triple bottom line. That is people, planet, and profit. We're considering all three of those in every decision that we make equally. So again, it goes back to your guys' your four-way test, that, does it benefit everyone? We're looking constantly for that win-win situation. Another way to say it is business as a force for good. You may have heard of a LEED building. That's an environmental score for a building. This is something that's kind of come around in the last decade or so. This would be the same for businesses. So not only do you have this designation, but you actually have a score, and you're scored by an outside organization. So anyone can look up Third Sun Solar B Corporation score, and you can see what we score in all the various categories. It's a built-in business transparency to help the people that we're doing business with have trust in us. Third time's a charm. Okay. David mentioned this, but I think it's important to understand. I mentioned that solar is growing at record numbers, even here in the great state of Ohio, and one of the driving forces is the cost of solar. So this graph is showing you, dating back as far as 1975, what it cost, and that dollar figure there at the top is $101 per watt. Now coming up to 2015, you're at 61 cents a watt. Okay. So there's been a rapid decline in the cost of going solar. That has really been based in the scalability of solar. So our friends in Germany and people like China, they are way, way, way ahead of the United States in this, because they are already committed to 100% renewable energy, and solar being a huge component to that. That scalability is what has brought the cost down. David mentioned some increases in efficiency, but there really is no planned obsolescence in solar. We're at a really great time where solar is the lowest cost alternative for new generation of electricity. And the other thing that is important to understand is that solar is also a hedge against the energy future. So I've been in this business for 2.5 years, and I have yet to meet the person that believes that their energy costs are going to go down. All of us, I think, know intuitively, if not from just our experience, that it's going to go up. And so when you go solar and you're producing solar power, the amount that you're able to make is the same. If you're willing to believe that the sun will rise tomorrow, then you're going to continue to make that power, even if the price of your grid power doubles, triples, or whatever it's going to do in the future. You're still making the same amount and offsetting the same amount. And I think another thing for this group to see is just to illustrate sort of the record numbers. You have corporations that are going solar in a very, very large way. And if you see who's right at the top of the list, I'm sorry, it's kind of small there, but you'll see it's Walmart. And I can assure you that it's not for altruistic reasons. They're doing it because it makes dollar and cents, it makes good sense for business. So you have right there at the top of the list, Walmart, Target, Apple, Costco, Kohl's, IKEA, Macy's. on down the list. Lots of retailers, obviously. You have corporations like Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, FedEx, Verizon, and this list is growing every day. But just to give you an illustration that real companies are turning to this energy source. And I think that's the last slide. And I think if we're okay on time, we were just going to open it up to questions, if that's okay, Jim. Did the group have any questions? Yeah, please.
How long do those inverters typically last?
So the inverter is a typical. It's a how many year? It's a 12-year warranty on the inverter. It is if there's a weaker part of the system, it would be the weaker part. But the nice part is that the replacement of an inverter is a relatively low-cost thing to do, and it's actually a really fast and simple thing to do. Yeah.
Could you speak to panels that move and track the sun as opposed to fixed panels?
Yeah, so we install both fixed and trackers. Trackers make sense at the larger scale, and that what a larger scale is at this day and age is probably about 500 megawatts, and that number, as you see the declining costs, that the trackers would be involved in that. So trackers, I think, in the not too distant future will continue to come down and still be a possibility at even smaller systems than 500 kilowatts. What trackers do is just allow you to maximize, your sun exposure. So, if you're able to catch the sun coming from the east at the right angle and then follow the angle of the sun, you're going to basically maximize your efficiency and maximize your exposure all throughout the day, and you're just going to get better production. Does that answer your question? Yep.
Two questions quickly. To make it real for us, can you just say what the average homeowner can expect in cost and benefit? And
Yeah.
Secondly, when are you going to team up with Solar City and their shingles?
Okay, two great questions. So the first one is, right now the average cost for a homeowner in Ohio is $20,000. And we're seeing the payback of that be between 8 and 12 years currently, which is really great. You're saving generally between 50 and 90% of the annual usage, and that variance is back to the customization of solar, where you and this gentleman could live side by side in the exact same style house, the same roof and so forth, but different shade factors and different energy use, and so your systems could end up being vastly different. But the average is 20,000.
With it?
Oh yeah, and I'm sorry, David brings up a great point. That is before the federal tax credit, which is a 30% tax credit, which is fantastic as well. Now let's address the solar shingles. Has anyone in this room ever heard of vaporware?
Yeah.
That's what the solar shingles are. Vaporware. That means it doesn't exist. And so, not to disparage anyone, but this is, it's fair to say that Mr. Musk is a bit ahead of himself on this. This problem has been worked on for many years. Actually, Dow Chemical worked on it, I believe, for 15 years and dropped it. And the concept of solar as the shingle has some out-of-the-box inherent inefficiencies that are maybe impossible to overcome, and that is basically that the lower the temperature, the better efficiency that you get out of a solar panel. So by combining the two, you're raising the temperature pretty dramatically, and so you're out of the box dropping the efficiency by anywhere from 3 to 5%. In addition to the fact that the speculation about the cost, I mentioned it was $20,000 is the cost for the kind of solar that we do, the photovoltaic panels. I think the last cost estimate that I saw was about 3 times that amount for the home. But again, this is 3 times the amount of something that doesn't exist, and may never exist. I'll say it a different way. If it comes out and it's fantastic, you know, we're all about accelerating the shift to clean energy. If it's going to help us with that mission, we're going to be all about it. But we don't advise anybody to wait for that. Yep.
I know this is a complicated topic, but what's your thought on the responsibility of electric utility customers who install solar in paying for contributing to having that capacity available and when the solar is not available?
So say that one more time. What is the responsibility of the electric customer?
Customer that it has solar, but then what's their responsibility to financially support the electric utility company and their costs of providing backup and in times when the solar is not available?
Yeah, so I mean, all the systems are grid tied. There are fixed charges that are attributed to every homeowner that's tied to the grid. So if you have solar, the part that you're making solar is the energy that you're producing for yourself. The fixed charges are what are being, you know, paid to the utility. And to be honest with you, this issue has been studied extensively over the last couple of decades, and the conclusion has been every single time that the person with solar is contributing a net positive to the grid. You're actually delivering on that. When you're making excess, you're delivering clean energy to your neighbors, and it's energy that the utility company does not have to incur the cost to produce. So there's an absolute net positive for your contribution of solar to the grid. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
And we also have, you know, solar customers, I think, have to be aware, and I think most are aware of the potential for what the utility might do in the future in terms of you know, fixed charges and things of that sort. So were we okay to keep going?
Just, I signed up. I signed on the dotted line yesterday, actually, to put solar on my house. So we went big as we could. They don't let you get too close to your full power capacity in your house, but it'll provide 70% of the power for our home. It was about $28,000 before the tax credit, so we'll get $10,000 back, 7-year payoff. And we do have net metering here in Hudson. City Council passed that a few years ago, so we can get a reduced bill when we're producing more energy than we're utilizing in the house. And pretty streamlined process to get it approved through Planning Commission as well. So excited, and it's definitely a good and easy thing to do, and they say there's a lot of demand coming from Hudson.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Michael. I'm sure you'll be around for a few minutes if somebody has some other questions. So we'll conclude with the Rotabuck drawing here. All right, the jackpot's $310, and the payout today is $12. So somebody will be winning some lunch money here.
Stu is going to get
All right, last four. 0077. There we go. Josie.
Joe Zapatowski.
It's in there. Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Here's your lunch money.
Yeah.
All right, thank you to everyone for being here this morning. Thank you to the guests. You're certainly welcome back next week. We meet every Wednesday morning right here, so we'll look forward to seeing each one of you. Thank you, David. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate the time. Appreciate you coming up from Columbus. Everyone have a great week.
Thank you.